What do you think about Terence Crawford calling out Canelo?
Everybody wants to fight Canelo. It's the money fight. You know what I mean? I think even Inoue would come up to fight Canelo. Canelo wanted to fight him.
Crawford's brilliant. Like he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized.
Canelo comes out there what Canelo should do. Canelo wins the fight.
A super fight that has divided the boxing world, with experts, former champions, and trainers all giving their takes on how it will play out.
A potential fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight? Who do you
like Terence? It's
wow.
my friend, but it's crazy man. Listen, I say Terence win. Yes.
What? Terence win over Canelo.
Yes, Terence win. But listen.
This isn't just about skill. It's about legacy, size, power, and strategy. Can Crawford, the current pound-for-pound king, defy the odds and conquer a much bigger opponent? Or will Canelo, the undisputed super middleweight champion, prove that size and power matter more than skill? Let's break it all down and look at what boxing legends have to say about this historic clash.
What do you think about Terence Crawford calling out Canelo?
Before we even get into predictions, let's look at the key physical differences between these two warriors. Canelo Alvarez stands at 5 feet 8 inches with a reach of 70.5 inches. He began his career at 140 pounds and has now moved up to 168 pounds, currently competing in the super middleweight division. Terence Crawford also stands at 5 feet 8 inches but has a longer reach of 74 inches. He started his career at 135 pounds and has now completed up to 147 pounds, where he currently holds titles.
Terence, it's different man. Terence work in две стойка.
Two sides.
Two sides.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
switch hitter.
Yes.
He's a switch hitter. Yes.
Right and left. But it's very smart man. It's very smart. But feel distance and place like
Adjustment.
Right away, you see the challenge. Canelo is the naturally bigger man, having fought much heavier opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Dmitry Bivol, and Caleb Plant. Crawford, while taller and with a longer reach, is making a huge jump from 147 to 168 pounds. A full 21 pounds of difference. This size difference is the main reason many experts don't think Crawford can win. But let's see what boxing legends have to say.
You know, I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight, you know. And he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big and he was awkward. He was really awkward. He shouldn't have fought that guy. He should have fought a guy that would just come straight at him. The guy was too awkward.
He's herky-jerky, yeah.
Want to know.
Let's start with Iron Mike Tyson, one of the most feared boxers in history. Tyson isn't convinced Crawford can handle Canelo's size and strength, saying, Crawford struggled with his last opponent because of size and awkwardness. Moving up to fight Canelo? That's a bad idea. Tyson believes that Crawford's fight with Israil Madrimov exposed his vulnerability to bigger fighters, and that Canelo will take full advantage of this.
Crawford's brilliant. Like he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
While Tyson is skeptical, David Benavidez, one of the top super middleweights in the world, thinks Crawford has a real chance. Benavidez said, Crawford's work ethic, mindset, and skill level are elite. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls off the upset. However, even Benavidez admits he doesn't like this fight for Crawford because moving up in weight could be too risky. With
Crawford throwing his hat in to want to fight Canelo at 168.
I mean, everybody wants to fight Canelo. It's the money fight. You know what I mean? I think even Inoue would come up to fight Canelo. Canelo wanted to fight him. I mean, I don't want to see Crawford to fight Canelo, to be honest with you. But it would be. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a great fight. It would be a great fight. But I feel like if I deserve my opportunity, and after this fight, what else are they gonna say? You know what I mean? This is a tough fight. You know, the top people ranked at the WBC are fighting each other. So I mean, it should be an easy call. If I can't get those fights, then I'll go up to fight Bivol, or I'll go try to, you know, I set my conquest on 175. Like I said, I don't want no handouts either. I want to, you know, earn my spots everywhere I go, even at 175. But you know, I see that weight class. You know, I want to become champion at 175, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion, believes Crawford will win. Usyk's reasoning? Crawford is the more skilled fighter. Skills win fights. Usyk believes technical ability beats size, which makes sense coming from him after all. Usyk moved up from cruiserweight to dominate at heavyweight.
It's very, very, very smart, but feel distance and place.
Adjustments,
Spacing,
exactly.
boxing.
You don't think the weight difference will be a factor too much?
Mario, you're asking him?
That's why I'm asking, exactly.
But, Canelo big, Canelo too. It's a good boxer, but I say Terence.
Wow.
Roy Jones Jr., one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters ever, sees two possible outcomes. If Canelo fights smart, he wins. If Canelo makes mistakes, Crawford wins.
Canelo comes out and does what Canelo should do, Canelo wins the fight. If Canelo comes out and does what he shouldn't do, Crawford wins the fight.
But with Crawford, what are Crawford's keys to victory when you are fighting someone like Canelo, who, albeit maybe not in height, but in stature, is a much bigger man than him?
Control the center of the ring.
Roy believes it all depends on which version of Canelo shows up, a focused and aggressive Canelo, or the one who looked vulnerable against Bivol. Former world champion Sean Porter, who has fought Crawford, raises a key issue. Canelo has knocked out bigger guys. Can Crawford take those punches for 12 rounds? Porter respects Crawford's toughness, but questions whether his chin can handle Canelo's power.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know. So I think, if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So
if there's one man who knows what it's like to get hit by Canelo Alvarez, it's Amir Khan.
Looks as though it's heading Mexico's way. Oh, it certainly is now. Huge right hand, and Khan down. And is he going to get up? It doesn't look like.
Who got brutally knocked out by Canelo in 2016. Khan says Crawford should stay away. Canelo is a beast at this weight. Khan is one of the few experts who outright advises Crawford not to take this fight.
I think Canelo just outboxes him. Well, no, doesn't outbox him, but I think just outpowers him and beats him to the punch. And you do give Canelo does have some sort of like decent speed as well. So I think Canelo just wins that fight easy.
Would it be a knockout?
Could be, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think that should happen. Look, I like Crawford, and I think Canelo is a beast at that weight. Honestly, I would advise Crawford not to do that.
Teofimo Lopez, the former lightweight king, sees no path to victory for Crawford. Lopez even made a bold prediction. Canelo wins by knockout in the 8th round. Lopez believes that at some point in the fight, Canelo will land a devastating shot that ends it. Ryan Garcia, despite being a huge Crawford fan, doesn't think this fight ends well for him. Garcia said, "Canelo is too big and strong. Weight classes exist for a reason. It's a fair point. Fighters move up in weight all the time, but jumping from 147 to 168 pounds is unheard of."
What round does Crawford get knocked out? I'm gonna put 8. Let's put it on the universe. So I'm gonna put it on 8. 8. And if it goes the other way, I 8. You know, I 8. So yeah, Ryan, Joe, and Eddie Reynoso also. That'd be cool, man. We all get work. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have our own underground boxing, me and Ryan, before we fight.
Jeff Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's uncle, gives a more balanced view. He believes Crawford is a more skilled fighter than Canelo Master at adjusting mid-fight and one of the best defensive boxers in the sport. However, Jeff warns that Canelo is dangerous and that Crawford will need to fight a near-perfect fight to win.
It's kind of tough, but if anybody can do it, I think it would be Terence Crawford. I mean, skill-wise, I think he's a better fighter than Canelo, but Canelo is also a great fighter but he owns that weight class that he's in. So I would just say that I think that Crawford has to fight almost a perfect fight to win, and take advantage of Canelo's mistakes.
Yeah, so we have, is it almost kind of a battle of, we have two guys, obviously the best, two of the best 3 or 4 boxers in the sport, regardless of weight class, but,
yeah,
which one is closer to the version of their prime, right? They're both getting older. I mean, they're both still, very, very good at this point, but, do you think maybe one of them it's time for them to start falling off, and that might be the difference in this fight, that one starts to trail off a little bit?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, both guys are aging, and you never know. You never know when they're going to show their age. So it could be either one of them that does that. But I mean, I just lean toward Crawford because I just see the dude has so many skills, and I mean, I just see that him possibly winning the fight by decision.
Teddy Atlas's confidence in Crawford is certainly understandable given Crawford's ability to adapt and adjust in the ring, along with his boxing intelligence. Crawford's versatility, ring IQ, and unique ability to switch between orthodox and southpaw stances make him a difficult puzzle for anyone, including someone like Canelo. When it comes to Canelo, the conversation around his age and recent performances is definitely a significant factor. While he's still a force with his power, incredible body punching, and defensive skills, the consensus has been that he's not quite as sharp or explosive as he was during his peak years. The slower footwork and more methodical approach in his recent fights have raised questions about how well he'd fare against a fighter like Crawford, who thrives on movement, distance control, and adaptability. But Canelo's power remains a huge factor. Even if he's not as quick as before, he still has the ability to land big shots that can change the course of a fight. His physicality and experience could still be significant advantages, especially if he catches Crawford during an exchange. If Canelo fights in bursts, as some suggest, it could make him more dangerous in spots but also potentially leave him open for Crawford to exploit those moments, especially if Crawford is able to make adjustments quickly. Ultimately, a fight like this would be a fascinating clash of styles, and could come down to who can control the tempo. Do you think Canelo's power might overcome Crawford's adjustments, or will Crawford's boxing IQ be too much for him?